It's a hot weekend of racing action in the Great White North, highlighted by the King's Plate. Let's talk Woodbine Saturday. Hi, everyone. Matthew DeSantis here with NYRA Bets. Here with a preview of some of the stakes action taking place Saturday at Woodbine, including, of course, the highlight, the King's Plate, 13-horse race, kind of like their version of the Kentucky Derby up in Canada. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get into all four of these stakes races on Saturday, I want to encourage you to press that like button and subscribe to NYRA Bets YouTube today. Subscribe is entirely free of cost, just notifies you when new videos drop on the channel, whether those are race previews, full card analyses, handicapping and betting tutorials, weekly programs, and so much more. Listen, folks, we got a lot to cover. Saratoga, Woodbine, Del Mar, doesn't matter. We're going to go Kentucky Downs later this month, Churchill, Keeneland. We're going to get ready for Breeders' Cup, then Gulfstream Park. Listen, we're covering you everywhere here on NYRA Bets. All right, well, like I said, it's a big weekend at Woodbine. A couple of things to keep in mind if you don't play Woodbine often. First of all, there's only two surfaces, the synthetic and the turf. Second thing to remember is the configuration is a little bit different than what you might normally expect. The turf course is on the outside of the synthetic course, and as a result, you get some unusual configurations in terms of starting chutes, turns, etc. For that turf course. You really see that highlighted in the EPA Taylor going 1.25 miles. So, like I said, something to keep in mind if you're not familiar playing the track before. But we're going to dive into all four of these and go in sequential order. And that's going to start with the EP Taylor. Really nice race. Real nice race. Highlighted by an overwhelming favorite. The number 4, She Feels Pretty for Cherie DeVaux. This one is going to be very difficult to beat. This is a horse that just is the model of consistency. 11 starts, 7 victories, has never missed the board. And if you look at her defeats, they've never been because she didn't fire. It was just she was second or third best by a very short margin. Third by half a length, third by 3/4 of a length, second by a neck, and last time out, second by a head to Excellent Truth in the Grade 1 Diana up here at Saratoga. Prior to that, she had reeled off victories in the Grade 1 New York, the Grade 3 Modesty. Listen, she's a really good filly, and more importantly, she's won up at Woodbine before. That's right. She won the Natalma Grade 1 back in 2023. That was actually Cherie DeVaux's first Grade 1 victory. I remember that very emotional moment, her hugging John Velasquez, who's aboard again today, and also hugging She Feels Pretty. So, listen, going to be very tough to beat. She has such a great tactical running style. She doesn't need the lead. She can be, third, fourth position. Really, like I said, very technical, is not pace dependent in terms of being a deep closer. And she typically comes through for you when you need her as a favorite. So she deserves to be this 3 to 5 choice. Her speed figures alone kind of put her in a different caliber. She's been working out fantastically here at Saratoga. I think makes a ton of sense in this particular race as a very short price, but maybe treat this one as a little bit of a free square in this race. Listen, you could look at a second choice like Ready for Cheryl if you're trying to upset her, but quite frankly, in the speed figures, this one would need to get at least 10 points faster to really have much of a shot. And I just don't really like this one at 7-2. The price doesn't match up with what I think this one's chances of winning is in this race. 2 for 5 winning over the turf at Woodbine, including last time out in the Canadian. But again, hasn't really shown that next step necessarily that I think this one needs to for Roger Atfield. Javier Castellano up on the mount. But for me, the logical alternative to She Feels Pretty is actually the number 3, Diamond Rain. This is the horse that makes the most sense for Charlie Appleby. And guess who's coming over? William Buick. That's right. Buick has ridden this horse all 6 starts of her career, 4 victories, 2 times off the board in the Group 2 Ribblesdale at Royal Ascot last year, and then first time off the bench late last year over soft ground going 1.25 miles. Here's the good news. This one has gotten a win going 1.25 miles before. Second start over a good turf, and last time out getting 1.25 miles over the synthetic. Diamond Rain makes a ton of sense here. This is a Godolphin owned and bred filly. I think this one makes just so much sense because here's the thing. She's going to come over. Maybe she's good enough to beat She Feels Pretty. Certainly, those time form ratings the last 2 times out might be able to translate to something She Feels Pretty's runs in terms of the buyer speed figures. But most importantly, this is just fantastic in setting her up for the next step of her career. She's going to be Grade 1 placed, and that's going to make her an amazing broodmare prospect and just add to the plethora of broodmares that Godolphin has. And so this is just such a smart decision to move her into this sort of a spot. Buick coming over, I think, is a dead giveaway. This one is very live. 6-1 on the morning line. I think this is a fantastic value in this potential race. If you're going to try to beat She Feels Pretty, it's Diamond Rain that's going to be the one to do it. Now let's go to the Bold Venture. Always a fun race, going 6.5 on the synthetic. And for me, I don't like the morning line favorite in this race, the number 6 Simcoe. Part of that is I look at who this horse has beaten and not beaten. Well, this horse beat I'm a Gambler last time out by about a head. Here's the thing. I'm a Gambler is 8-1 on the morning line. The race before that lost to Old Chestnut. You look at a couple of races last year, lost to Old Chestnut. Who's Old Chestnut? The number 3 horse who's 20-1 on the morning line. So if this one can't beat 20-1 horses, how am I expecting this horse to beat everybody else in this field? Now listen, he's the model of consistency over the last year or so, running between a 94 and 99 Beyer speed figure. Very good early speed. Doesn't need the lead, but certainly runs best on the lead. Has rated a little bit, and I do emphasize a little bit, back in March at Turfway Park in a $62,000 optional claimer. But this one's also stepping up into a little bit tougher company, quite frankly, after running against a lot of allowance and optional claiming company. 2-1 on the morning line, way too short of a price for me. If you're going to go with a short price, I'd rather go with the number 5, Playmea Tune, for Josie Carroll. This one's 4 for 5, winning on the synthetic. Actually almost won this race last year, just lost out to the legend Patches O'Houlihan in this race. That was only his 3rd career start as well. Very talented horse who's come back after a little bit of a layoff and ran on the turf last time out, but this one's just not best on turf. That's all there is to it. 0 for 2 even hitting the board on the grass. This one makes a lot more sense on the synthetic. Has been training well leading up to this race, a 59-4 bullet on August 7th. I think Playmea Tune makes a ton of sense in here. Now, if there's a horse that is a little bit of a price that you might want to look at, the number 4 Ice Chocolat for trainer Mark Casse with Sahin Savice up there, Savachi, I should say, up there on the mount. And this one, typically more of a turf horse and one that we're very familiar with here in the United States. This one won the poker at Saratoga last year over Mysterious Night, over Talk of the Nation. Beat some nice horses. This one's always been capable of running some big races and has really been a bit of a world traveler. Run at New York, run in Woodbine, won in Kentucky, won in Louisiana, run in Gulfstream Park. So this one's been all over, but I do think this one really can run well on the synthetic despite having never won. Part of the reason is this one's only ever run graded stakes company on the synthetic. And guess what? Second by a nose, second by 3/4 of a length, and second by 3/4 of a length. Those are the 3 career efforts. 98, 96, 89 Beyer speed figure. You look at the last couple, that 96, 98, more than good enough to win in this spot. Much more battle tested. Again, 6-1 seems like a really fair price on this horse. So yes, as much as I like Playmea Tune, interesting to see how the board plays out leading up to this one. But Ice Chocolat, I think, makes a ton of sense here. It's a little bit of a nice price. The other one I like, honestly, is I'm a Gambler. You don't see many 6-year-old horses with 22 career starts, or 44, I should say, career starts. Don't want to short this one. But this one just runs really well, really consistent. At this point in its career, maybe more of an underneath play. But again, those speed figures on the synthetic look really good. And more importantly, look at what happens when this one gets back on the synthetic after running on the turf. Go back to June 2024, runs on the turf, comes back next time out in July, runs on the synthetic. What happens? Pops 11 points better on the speed figures and wins for fun. Then you fast forward to October 2024, runs on the turf again, comes back in November, pops 7 points higher on the speed figures and wins for fun on the synthetic. Why do I bring this up? Last time out, this horse runs on the turf. Now we're getting back on the synthetic. Oh, by the way, Flavian Pratt's up on the mount for trainer Kevin Attard. These are all positive things for I'm a Gambler, who's at 8-1, I think presents some really nice value. Well, listen, let's go to the headliner, the King's Plate. Even though it's not a graded stakes race, it's the Kentucky Derby of Canada and a really fun field. And your morning line favorite is a filly. That's right, the number 10, No Time, at 7-2 for trainer Mark Casse, who just won for fun in that Woodbine Oaks last time out, going a mile and an eighth, and won by nearly 4 lengths over a couple of horses, Shifty and Winterberry. Notably, Winterberry came back to win next time out in the Bison City Stakes. So that one great to see that form already translating into another victory. But I do think you can look at this filly maybe a little skeptically. First of all, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. She's run against boys before, but still going to be a little bit of a challenge. And more importantly, going to have to figure out the right trip from that far outside post position. Don't want to use up too much speed early for jockey John Velasquez, who was aboard last time out when this one had a nice mid-pack tracking trip. We'll try to get a similar trip this time around. The other thing to consider is this one, again, the speed figure last time out, 88 buyer, that's really kind of the anomaly in a lot of ways. Ran a 68 buyer before that, 79 before that, 61, 31. This one's been a little inconsistent, but when she pops big. But, maybe not quite as consistent as you would like for a 7-2 favorite in a 13-horse field. I really like the number 12, Sedburys Ghost. 6-1 on the morning line for trainer Barbara Minshaw. Why do I like this one? Well, it won the plate trial last time out. That's a big part of it. Going a mile and an eighth. This one comes from a little further off the pace, but showed incredible closing kick. More importantly, the jockey said he doesn't think they got to the bottom of this one or anywhere close to it. That they still had another gear coming for home that we didn't even tap into yet. This one's been trading nicely since that race. 6-1 on the morning line seems like a very fair price. Interestingly, this one has been a fair price in most of its races. 5 career starts, 3 victories, but has only been favored once. So this one you can usually get at a little bit of a price, 8-1, 2-back, 7-1 last time out, winning the King's Plate, or the plate trial, I should say. So again, Sedburys Ghost, maybe you have to worry a little bit about the trip from that far outside post, but certainly a pretty dangerous one in this race. Now, a horse that's not going to have to worry about the outside post position is the number 3, Notorious Gangster, at 9-2 for trainer Josie Carroll. This one finished second in that plate trial. Nice horse, has really continued to mature as a 3-year-old, 75, 80, 83 buyer speed figure progression this year. Workout after that plate trial looks tremendous, of 59-4, bullet first to 16 over the synthetic. So there's a lot to like about this horse. A little bit more of a deep closer, though. So that's the thing. Sedburys Ghost, a little bit more tactical, a little bit more mid-pack. Notorious Gangster coming from a little bit further off the pace. Now, that said, was really closing well, didn't get a ton of pace to run at in that plate trial. But the same thing could be said for Sedburys Ghost, who didn't have a lot of pace and was able to close and get the job done. I do worry because there's not a load of speed in this race. I mean, certainly Mancetti, the number 1 horse, has a lot of speed. You figure a horse like Scorching is going to be pretty forward as well. But you start getting past those horses, and a horse like the Wolf, okay, is pretty fast, but not that fast, although the last workout was in blazing 46-1 4 furlong. You don't have a lot of horses that need the lead necessarily. So I don't know if Notorious Gangster is going to get the pace set up, but certainly is going to come running late. It would seem like a foolish horse to exclude from those late, or those vertical tickets, I should say, like your exactas and trifectas. The final horse I want to emphasize in this King's Plate is number 7, Runaway Again. This is an interesting horse for trainer Sidotard, Javier Castellano up on the mount. Why is this one so interesting to me? Well, quite frankly, this horse has run once, and that's it. That's right. Debut maiden victory by 9 1/4 lengths, and now is finding itself in the King's Plate. Had a tough start that day, going a mile and a 16th, but was so much the best and is clearly a super talented horse. Attard has put this one through some nice works leading up to this. After that debut, a 59-2, 5 furlong work, and then really building the foundation, a 112-2, 6 furlong workout leading up to this race. Sired by Hard Spun. I'm not worried about distance. Why? Look at how Hard Spun's offspring have done going a mile and a quarter or longer. Hello? They've won 21% of the time. That is an astronomically high percentage, considering that the all-sire average is 12%. So that's right. His offspring are winning at nearly twice the percent that other horses are winning going a mile and a quarter or longer. Average winning distance for his offspring are 7.6 furlongs. We talk about Curlin. Hard Spun right there in terms of a great distance pedigree out of a Stormcat mare. This one should want to keep running all day long for Stronach Stables. I think Runaway Again, 12-1 on the morning line. Yes, has a lot to prove. This would be a massive class test and a huge class jump for this one to be able to do it, but tons of talent here for Sidotard. So one to consider at a little bit of a price. Well, let's go to the King Edward's Stakes, and this one going a mile on the turf for 3-year-olds and up. And remember, this is a one-turn mile. And that's right. We don't, because it's that outer turf course. So they start on the backstretch like a big one-turn mile at Belmont. So that's what they got here. So keep that in mind when you think about pace dynamics and how these horses are going to be running in this race. Another interesting race. And again, it could go a few different ways here. For me, and by the way, I just want to give a shout out to the number 9 Public Sector before we get started, who I think has been running since I was in grade school. But Public Sector, 7 years old, is still running. God bless that horse for Safi Joseph Jr. I always like Public Sector a lot. But this one, you look at a horse like the number 5 Dresden Row, 3-1 in the morning line for Lauren Richards. I get it. The horse still has never got the win over the turf, which is a little bit concerning. Feels like more of a synthetic horse to me. So again, a little bit worried about that in terms of betting that one at a short price. For me, your favorite, number 3, Cruden Bay for Donald McRae, makes a lot of sense. The horse won last time out, grade 2. And so I think this one's second back from a really long layoff. The fact this one was able to get that win off an 11-month layoff, now is second back. I think this one's going to fire a big race. Look at last year, second back from a long layoff was the best race of this horse's career at that point, 98 Beyer speed figure. So I think this one can absolutely continue to move forward second start. But you are taking a short price on a 7-year-old horse. Admittedly, he was in very good form, closed from way out of it last time, and was really wide the whole way. Probably isn't going to be that wide this time around, and very comfortable with this trip. But 7 for 4 winning, or 4 for 7, I should say, winning at Woodbine. But if you're going to go for a little bit of a price in this one, the number 8, Gas Me Up for Kevin Attard. Again, Flavian Pratt up on the mount. Relatively inexperienced, only 7 career starts, 3 victories, including last time out against Optional Claiming Company. Interesting to see how this one runs. Actually getting a little bit of a, carrying a little less weight, only carrying 121 as opposed to 123 last time out. But this one has a win going a mile, one last time out going 6 furlongs, has one going 6.5. You actually have to go back to 2022 when this one ran over a mile. And that was at Del Mar, breaking its maiden for Peter Urton. That's right. This one started in 2022 and took a 2-year gap almost from 2022 to 2024. Ran once in 2024, got the win, then went to the bench for another year almost, and now is third back in that form cycle and spotted very aggressively in this race. Clearly a horse that has always had a ton of talent, is training beautifully, and I think is going to take another step forward. So Gas Me Up at 6-1, I think is a pretty interesting play. All right, well, those are my thoughts on the 4 stakes races at Woodbine on Saturday, highlighted, of course, by that King's Plate. It's going to be a great day, and hope the weather is great for all my friends up north of the border. Like I said at the beginning, make sure to press that like and subscribe button here on NYRA Bets YouTube. My name is Matthew DeSantis. Wishing you a great and prosperous day at the races, and reminding you, friends, it's now post time.